My wife said, "I'm getting my tubes untied. My ex wants to try for kids again." She thought I'd wait for her like a fool. I just nodded and said, "Do what feels right." But when she came home from the hospital, the house was empty, except for one envelope on the kitchen table. I'm Marcus, 31, and I work as a financial analyst at a consulting firm. 3 years ago, I married who I thought was the love of my life. Her name was Rachel, 29, a graphic designer who worked from home. We met at a friend's wedding, one of those cliché romantic stories where we were seated at the same table and talked all night. 6 months later, we were engaged. A year after that, married in a beautiful ceremony that cost me nearly $40,000, most of it from my savings because her family couldn't contribute much. Rachel had been married before, briefly, to her high school sweetheart named Tyler. They got married young, divorced at 24, and she always told me it was amicable. She'd had her tubes tied during that marriage because Tyler was adamant about not wanting kids, and she went along with it. When we got together, she told me she regretted that decision and wanted to eventually reverse it so we could start a family. I was supportive. I told her whenever she was ready, we'd make it happen together. Everything was good for the first 2 years. We bought a house together in the suburbs, a nice 4-bedroom colonial that I put the down payment on, $60,000 from my inheritance after my grandfather passed. The mortgage was in both our names, but I paid 70% of it because I made significantly more. Rachel contributed to groceries and utilities, but her freelance income was inconsistent. I never complained. I loved her. I wanted to build a life together. The problem started last fall. Rachel started talking about Tyler more often. I ran into Tyler at the coffee shop today. Tyler posted about his new job on social media. Remember Tyler? He's doing really well now. At first, I didn't think much of it. They'd been friends on social media for years, occasionally commenting on each other's posts. But then she started meeting him for coffee, lunch, dinner, allegedly to catch up, since they'd both grown up in the same small town and had mutual friends. I asked her about it in November. We were in bed and she was texting someone, smiling at her phone in that way that made my stomach drop. "Are you talking to Tyler?" She didn't look up. "Yeah, just catching up. He's going through a lot right now." "What kind of a lot?" "His dad's sick. He needs someone to talk to." "And that someone has to be you?" "His ex-wife?" She finally looked at me, annoyed. "Marcus, we're adults. We can be friends, it's not a big deal. You're being insecure." I let it go, but it kept happening. More texts, more meetups. She started dressing nicer when she'd go see him, doing her makeup more carefully, coming home later. And then, 3 months ago, in early February, she dropped the bomb. We were having dinner at home, pasta I'd made after a long day at work. She'd been quiet all evening, picking at her food. I knew something was coming. "Marcus, I need to talk to you about something important." I set down my fork. "Okay." "I've been thinking a lot lately about kids, about what I want, about my life." "Okay," I said slowly. "We've talked about this. When you're ready to reverse the tubal ligation, we can start that process. I'm ready when you are." She shook her head. "That's the thing. I've been talking to Tyler a lot and he's changed. He wants kids now. He's in a better place mentally and financially, and he's been telling me he regrets how things ended between us. He regrets pushing me to get my tubes tied. He wants to try again." I stared at her, not fully processing. "Try again? What does that mean?" "It means I'm thinking about getting my tubes untied and trying for kids again. With Tyler." The room went silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. "You're married to me, Rachel." "I know, and I've thought about this a lot, Marcus. You're a great guy. You've been so good to me. But Tyler was my first love. We have history, and I think I owe it to myself to see if we can make it work this time, especially now that he wants the same things I want." "So what are you saying? You want a divorce?" She hesitated. "Eventually, yes. but these things take time. I thought maybe we could separate, and I could explore this and see where things go. Explore this? You want me to wait around while you go try to have a baby with your ex-husband? I'm not asking you to wait. I'm just being honest about what I want. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. When did you decide this? I've been thinking about it for a few months. Tyler and I have been talking seriously about it for the last 6 weeks. I have a consultation scheduled for the reversal surgery next month. You scheduled surgery without telling me? I'm telling you now. I stood up from the table, walked to the sink, gripped the edge of the counter. My mind was racing, trying to find something to hold on to. This is insane. You understand that, right? I understand you're upset, but I need to do this for me. I turned around to face her. She looked calm, resolved, like she'd already made peace with destroying our marriage. So that's it? 3 years together, everything we've built, and you're just done? I wouldn't say I'm just done. I care about you, Marcus, but I don't think I'm in love with you anymore. Not the way I was with Tyler. That's when I knew. This wasn't a sudden decision. This had been building for months. She'd been emotionally checked out, probably physically involved with him already, and now she was just formalizing it. And the worst part? She expected me to be understanding, to be the nice guy, to help her transition out of our life smoothly. I looked at her for a long moment. Do what feels right, Rachel. She seemed surprised by my calm response. Really? You're okay with this? I didn't say I was okay with it. I said, do what feels right. If you want to blow up our marriage for a chance to play house with your ex, that's your choice. I'm not going to beg you to stay. I appreciate you being mature about this. Mature. That word made me want to throw something. Instead, I just nodded. When's the surgery? March 15th. I'll need someone to pick me up from the hospital afterward. I'm sure Tyler can handle that. She frowned. Marcus, I'm going to bed. I have an early meeting tomorrow. I walked out of the kitchen, went upstairs, and slept in the guest room. That was February 8th. The day my wife told me she was leaving me for her ex-husband and expected me to just accept it. Update 1. The next few weeks were a nightmare. Rachel started staying out later, sometimes not coming home until after midnight. She said she was at Tyler's, planning for the future. She moved into the guest bedroom, which was fine by me. We barely spoke except for logistics. She asked if I'd help cover the cost of her surgery since we were still married and on the same insurance. I told her I'd think about it. What Rachel didn't know was that I'd immediately called a lawyer the morning after our conversation. His name was David Chen, a shark of a divorce attorney who came highly recommended from a colleague who'd gone through a messy separation. I met with him 3 days later at his office downtown. So let me get this straight, David said, reviewing the notes he'd taken. She wants to reverse her tubal ligation to have children with her ex-husband while still legally married to you? That's correct. And the house is in both names, but you paid the down payment? $60,000. I have bank records proving it was my inheritance. Mortgage payments? I've been paying 70%. I can pull bank statements showing the payments coming from my account every month for the past 2 years. David leaned back in his chair. This is good. Very good. Pennsylvania is an equitable distribution state, but given the circumstances and your documentation, we can argue for a more favorable split. How much is the house worth? We bought it for $320. It's probably worth $360 now based on comps in the neighborhood. Any other major assets? My 401k about $200,000. Savings about $50,000. Her savings is maybe $5,000. She has some retirement from her previous jobs, maybe $20,000 total. We have a joint checking account with about $10,000 in it. Cars? Both paid off. Mine's worth about $30,000. Hers is worth maybe $15,000. David made more notes. Here's what I'm thinking. We file immediately. We argue that her infidelity, and yes, having an ongoing relationship with her ex while married to you, counts as emotional infidelity at minimum, and her intent to start a family with another man while still married demonstrates abandonment of the marriage. We push for you to keep the house, since you paid the majority of the down payment and mortgage, or force a sale, and you get a larger portion of the proceeds. We protect your retirement accounts. We move fast before she realizes what's happening. How fast? I can have papers drafted by end of week. We serve her next Monday. By the time she has her surgery, she'll be dealing with divorce proceedings. Won't she get alimony? She barely works. In Pennsylvania, adultery can be grounds to deny alimony. Even if she argues emotional abandonment isn't adultery, the fact that she's voluntarily leaving the marriage to pursue a relationship with someone else works in your favor. She'd have to prove she needs support and that you have the ability to pay. Given that she's employable and choosing to leave, it's a weak case for her. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger exactly, just clarity. Do it. I left David's office and went back to work. That evening, Rachel was gone again, out with Tyler. I went into our home office, gathered every financial document I could find. Bank statements, mortgage papers, insurance policies, tax returns, the deed to the house. I made copies of everything and stored them in a safe deposit box at my bank the next morning. The divorce papers were served to Rachel on Monday, February 24th. I was at work when it happened. The process server caught her at home. She called me immediately, hysterical. "Marcus, what the hell is this? Divorce papers? You filed for divorce?" "Yes," without even talking to me about it. "What's there to talk about, Rachel?" "You told me you're leaving me for Tyler. You're getting surgery so you can have his kids. Did you think we were going to stay married?" "I thought we'd handle this like adults. Mediation, separation agreement, not this hostile." "Hostile? You've been planning your exit for months. You've been emotionally involved with another man. You scheduled surgery without consulting me. You moved into the guest room. What exactly is hostile about me protecting myself?" She was crying now. "I can't believe you're doing this. I thought you loved me." "I did love you. But you made your choice. Now I'm making mine. My lawyer is going to destroy you for this. Good luck with that. Make sure Tyler's ready to pay for it because I'm not funding your legal fees." I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt oddly calm. That night, Rachel came home with Tyler. They were both in the living room when I got back from the gym around 8. "Marcus, we need to talk," Tyler said. He was tall, fit, cocky-looking in that way guys who peak in high school never quite grow out of. "This whole divorce thing is unnecessary. We can work this out like mature people. Get out of my house." "It's Rachel's house too," he said. "For now, but in a few months, it'll be my house. Or we'll sell it and split the proceeds. Either way, you have no claim to it and no reason to be here. Get out." Rachel stepped forward. "Marcus, please. Can we just talk about this?" "No. You said what you needed to say 3 weeks ago. Now I'm saying what I need to say. You want out? You're getting out. But you're not taking me for everything I've built just because you changed your mind about our marriage." Tyler puffed up his chest. "You don't have to be a jerk about it, man. And you don't have to be in my house. Leave. Now. Or I'm calling the police." They left. Rachel texted me all night, alternating between apologizing and threatening me. I blocked her number. We communicated through lawyers after that. Update 2. The surgery was scheduled for March 15th, a Friday. Rachel had been staying with Tyler at his apartment for the past 2 weeks because the tension in the house was unbearable. She'd come by occasionally to grab clothes or work materials, always when she knew I wasn't home. My lawyer advised me to let her since we were still in the divorce process, and it was technically her residence too. But I'd been planning, carefully, methodically. I hired movers for March 14th, the day before her surgery. Professional, discreet, fast. I'd already rented a 2-bedroom apartment across town, furnished it with the essentials. The movers packed up everything that was mine, my clothes, my books, my furniture that I'd brought into the marriage, my electronics, my personal items, everything. I left Rachel's stuff exactly where it was. Her clothes in the closet, her toiletries in the bathroom, her work equipment in the office. But I took the furniture we'd bought together, the couch, the dining table, the bed. All of it had been purchased with my money, and I had receipts to prove it. I left her with her personal belongings and nothing else. The house looked like a skeleton when I was done. Walls bare, rooms empty except for her scattered possessions. I took photos of everything for documentation, showing I hadn't damaged anything, hadn't taken anything of hers. Then I went to the kitchen table. I'd prepared an envelope days earlier. Inside was a copy of the divorce filing, a copy of the financial disclosure showing exactly how much I'd contributed to the house and our life together, and a typed letter. It was short. Rachel, by the time you read this, you'll notice the house is empty. I've taken what's mine. You're welcome to stay here until the court determines what happens with the property, but you'll need to furnish it yourself. I've paid my portion of the mortgage through the end of March. After that, you're responsible for your share. You wanted to pursue a new life with Tyler. I'm giving you the space to do that, but I'm not financing it, and I'm not waiting around to be your backup plan. The lawyer will be in touch about the next steps. Marcus. I left the envelope on the kitchen table, propped up against the salt shaker so she couldn't miss it. Then I locked up, drove to my new apartment, and cracked open a beer. It was 8 p.m. on Thursday, March 14th. Rachel's surgery was at 10 a.m. the next morning. I didn't sleep well that night. Not because I felt guilty, I didn't, but because I kept waiting for my phone to explode with angry messages. It didn't. She was probably preparing for surgery, staying overnight at Tyler's, focused on her big day. Friday morning came. I went to work like normal, had meetings, reviewed spreadsheets, ate lunch at my desk. Around 2 p.m., my phone started ringing. Rachel's number, which I'd unblocked that morning just to see what would happen. I let it go to voicemail. She called 6 more times. Then Tyler's number started calling. I ignored that too. Finally, around 4 p.m., a text came through from Rachel's number. How could you do this? I just got home from the hospital and the house is empty. Everything is gone. What is wrong with you? I replied, everything that was mine is gone. Your belongings are still there. You wanted to start a new life. This is what that looks like. I'm recovering from surgery. I can't deal with this right now. You should have thought about that before you decided to blow up our marriage. Feel better. Then I blocked her number again. Update 3. The next few weeks were a war. Rachel's lawyer sent mine an angry letter claiming I'd violated some kind of marital conduct clause by abandoning the marital home and removing shared assets. My lawyer fired back with receipts. Literally, every purchase, every payment, every contribution I'd made to that house and our life together. We demonstrated that nothing I took belonged to her, and that I had documentation proving ownership. Rachel tried to claim the furniture was shared property, since it was bought during the marriage. David Chen, my lawyer, pointed out that when one spouse pays for 100% of an item, it's not shared property, it's that spouse's property. We had credit card statements, bank records, everything. Meanwhile, Rachel was struggling. She'd had to stay with Tyler full-time because the house was essentially uninhabitable without furniture. She tried to take out a loan to furnish it, but got denied because her credit was tied up in the mortgage and her income was too inconsistent. Tyler apparently wasn't interested in paying to furnish his ex-wife's house that she was going to eventually lose in the divorce anyway. Through mutual friends, I heard bits and pieces. Rachel's recovery from the surgery was harder than expected. Tyler was getting cold feet about the whole trying for a baby thing now that reality was setting in. They'd been arguing. He hadn't realized how much financial support Rachel would need, and he wasn't ready to take that on. By mid-April, Rachel reached out through her sister, begging for a conversation. I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop near my office. Neutral territory. She looked terrible, tired, worn down, defeated. She was crying before she even sat down. "Marcus, I made a huge mistake, the biggest mistake of my life." I sipped my coffee. "Okay. Tyler and I aren't working out. He's not who I thought he was. The whole thing was a fantasy, and now I'm realizing what I gave up." "What do you want me to say, Rachel?" "I want you to forgive me. I want us to try again. I want to come home." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Come home? To the house you're about to lose in the divorce? The house that has no furniture because you're responsible for your own life now? I know I hurt you. I know I screwed up. But we were good together, Marcus. We can be good again." "No, we can't. You showed me exactly who you are. You're someone who was willing to throw away 3 years of marriage for a fantasy with your ex. You're someone who expected me to bankroll your life while you figured out what you wanted. You're someone who took everything I gave and didn't think twice about walking away when something shinier came along. I was confused. I made a mistake. And now you're dealing with the consequences. The divorce is going forward. My lawyer says we should have everything finalized by June. You'll get a small settlement, maybe $30,000 after everything's divided and your debts are paid off. The house is going up for sale next month unless you can buy me out, which we both know you can't afford. You'll walk away with your car, your personal belongings, and whatever you can rebuild. That's it. What about the surgery? What about everything I went through? What about it? You chose that. You chose Tyler. You chose to leave. Those were your decisions, Rachel. I didn't make them for you." She was sobbing now, full-on ugly crying in the middle of a Starbucks. "I love you, Marcus. I still love you." "No, you don't. You love the stability I provided. You love the house and the life I built for us. But you don't love me. If you did, we wouldn't be here." I stood up, left a 20 on the table for my coffee, and walked out. That was the last time I spoke to Rachel in person. Final update. It's been 5 months since that coffee shop meeting. The divorce was finalized in early June. Here's how everything shook out. The house sold in May for $375,000. After the mortgage was paid off and closing costs, there was about $95,000 left. I argued successfully that since I'd paid the $60,000 down payment plus 70% of the mortgage over 2 years, I was entitled to a larger share. The judge agreed. I walked away with $68,000. Rachel got $27,000. My retirement accounts and savings stayed mine. Hers stayed hers. We each kept our own cars. No alimony was awarded because Rachel voluntarily left the marriage and was employable. Rachel moved back in with her parents after the house sold. She's still with Tyler, apparently, though from what I hear through the grapevine, it's rocky. The surgery was successful, but they haven't gotten pregnant yet. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Not my problem. I've been in my apartment for 6 months now. It's smaller than the house, but it's mine. Every piece of furniture, every dish, every decision is mine. I've been dating casually. Nothing serious yet. I'm in no rush. I've been going to therapy to work through the betrayal and rebuild my ability to trust. It's helping. Financially, I'm in great shape. Between the house settlement and my savings, I have over $120,000 in the bank. My 401k is still growing. I got a promotion at work in July with a 15% raise. I'm thinking about buying a condo next year, something just for me. The funniest part of all this? Rachel tried to friend me on social media last month. Just sent a friend request out of nowhere, like we were old acquaintances reconnecting. I declined it immediately and blocked her across all platforms. Some doors, once closed, don't need to be reopened. I learned a hard lesson through all of this. Love isn't enough if the person you love doesn't value you. Marriage isn't a safety net for someone to explore their options. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is walk away cleanly and let people live with their choices. Rachel wanted a new life. I gave her exactly that. Just not the one she was expecting. Edit 1. People keep asking if I ever found out if Rachel and Tyler were physical before she left. Honestly, I don't know and I don't care. Emotionally, she checked out months before she told me. Whether they slept together before or after is irrelevant to me. The betrayal was the same. Edit 2. Some people think I was cruel for moving everything out the day before her surgery. Maybe. But she'd been planning her exit for months without considering my feelings. She expected me to be supportive while she left me for another man. I gave her exactly what she said she wanted, freedom to pursue her new life. I just didn't stick around to make it comfortable for her. Edit 3. Tyler apparently proposed to Rachel last month. She said yes. Good luck to both of them. They deserve each other.